Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's me again, Pa Usman Cham, on State of Affairs, broadcasting on VOD and YouTube and on the Facebook page. We welcome all of you for yet another edition. Today with me, I'm going to have Mr. Njundu Drammeh, who is a Human Rights Commissioner at the Gambia Human Rights Commission. He will be my guest today for the next 1 hour, probably, if we can stick to the planned time, 1 hour or over 1.5 hours. So today we're going to be discussing about the roles and responsibilities, challenges, and also job of the Gambia Human Rights Council. And also specific to this program, we may be discussing about the issue of the gay and the position of the Gambia as a general. So I'm hoping that it might be a very, very interesting topic. And we invite you all to share the video and also share it on your timelines, invite friends and family and work colleagues. This might be a very, very educative program. I'm going to bring up Mr. Drammeh.
Yes.
Hello. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Pa. I'm okay. Alhamdulillah. How are you and the family?
Yeah, we are all good, thanks. You are live and we welcome you on board. And also, I must appreciate the fact that you agreed to come on this program today. It was not a struggle. It was like a quick, straightforward, official thing. And I also employ the high professionalism that you've shown during the process of me trying to get you on board. And also, we are going to start on time 7, but this was a Gambian time today.
So, okay.
Yeah, so thank you. And I will give you the time to introduce yourself and to the viewers who are watching to know who you are and where you work and perhaps why we are here today.
Thank you very much, Pa. It's a pleasure to be here on your platform.
Thank you.
To talk about our work, our challenges, and everything under the sky as far as human rights is concerned. I'm Njundu Drammeh. I'm one of 5 commissioners at the National Human Rights Commission. But in my previous life, I worked at as the national coordinator of the Child Protection Alliance, where I probably spent a greater part of my life, about 15 years, talking about children's rights, women's rights, and everything in between, women and children. And so, as you rightly said, we're here to talk about our commission, the work we do, challenges we face, and yeah, of course, the topic that has kept the whole nation on kind of tenterhook for a while. That has hyped us, as we would say. Yeah, so everything that probably would interest your audience, and I promise to answer the question to the best of my knowledge and abilities.
Thank you. I hope so. First, in a quick summary, before we move on any further, perhaps some people may have seen you talking or may have heard what the Gambia Human Rights Commission is all about, but would not necessarily know what their job is all about and why they exist. I know it exists as a result of an act of parliament, which also gives them that legal power to do something. Now, here, for the purpose of the audience, could you honestly explain in a nutshell what the council or what the commission is all about?
Thank you very much. As you rightly said, the commission, the National Human Rights Commission, or what people would call NHRC, was established by an act of parliament in 2017. But it was assented to, I think, around the 14th of January 2018 by the president. And on the 14th of February 2019, 5 commissioners were sworn in by the president after a rigorous vetting process by civil society and by the National Assembly. And in a nutshell, the mandate and functions of the National Human Rights Commission is basically to promote and protect human rights. And by promotion, we raise awareness, we build capacity, we network, we make people understand what human right is, both duty bearers and right holders. And in our protection mandate, we receive complaints. So people can come to the National Human Rights Commission to lodge a violation of our human rights. But maybe before we go further, our mandate is only to talk about human rights that exist after the act was gazetted, which was around the 14th of January 2018. So human rights violations that happen before 2018, we do not hear. That is for the TRRC. Only if one can show that human rights violation occurred before the act was gazetted and is continuing. But otherwise, we do not hear human rights violations that happened before January 2018. So we receive complaints of human rights. We can investigate complaints of human rights. We can monitor complaints of human rights, but and rights violations we can monitor. The Commission also has an advisory role. We can advise the government in terms of human rights, how to create a culture of human rights in the Gambia. We can also recommend for remedial action. When rights are violated, of course, there should be remedy, there should be redress. And so the Commission can advise the government. And so when we make a decision relating to that, relating to remedy or remedial action or redress, the state has 30 days to respond to the National Human Rights Commission. So these are some of the things that we do. But we also ensure compliance. So we can look at the laws of the Gambia and how they comply with human rights norms and standards and Gambia's international obligations. So if laws exist and we think that they are not in compliance with international norms and standards that the Gambia is party to, we can advise. If laws don't exist, we can as well advise the state to say we think a law should exist in this area. And in the course of the discussion, we can talk about some of the issues that we have highlighted to the state. So, but in a nutshell, this is what we do. So we promote, we protect, we monitor, we investigate, we give remedial recommendation relating to remedial action. we advise, we ensure compliance with international legal instruments and norms. So in a nutshell, Pa, this is what we do.
Thank you. And I'm baffled here. Looking at the Act, yes, the 2007 NHRC Act, Section 24, which says the exclusion of jurisdiction, which you have summarized as in to what extent of human rights violations do you go as in accordance? It's from 2017, but when we had a change in 2016, the purpose of the government was, one of the reasons for the new government was justice and human rights violations and investigations, something like that. And what would imagine that this NHRC exists to look into those things that happened in the past. Now, I'm a bit confused. Why there's exclusion of jurisdiction of the NHRC? Why wouldn't they not go as far as 2016?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we found the law, we found the act. We didn't promulgate the act, but that's what the act says, that we do not have exclusive jurisdiction on all human rights violations. The law says the act was gazetted, I think, around the 14th of January 2018. So from January 2018 moving forward, those are the human rights violations we can hear, we can investigate, we can monitor. If they happen before that, but the complainant can actually show that this human rights violation is continuing. For instance, a man was arrested in 2016, but is still in prison, no trial, nothing. The National Human Rights Commission can actually hear that because that violation is continuing. Is recurring. But otherwise, we do not. Our assumption is that, and that's why we think the TRRC is set up to also look at that. But yeah, you have highlighted a hiatus in the law, a lacuna, so to speak, because you have a duration. So the question is that who looks at violations that occur before the act was gazetted? Well, that's a question for all of us to ponder.
Yes. Well, in that example you gave, for example, somebody at mile 2 for a crime or challenging why he or she is there. Now, of course, if you have to hear that case, you will always also want to make a reference to the previous regime, or you will look at how the process that person went into mile 2. So if that will be not within your jurisdiction as far as the act is concerned. So somebody asked in 2015, his rights been violated still at mile 2, still in 2016 or 17. There would not be a reoccurrence of a violation of human rights, but rather a violation that still sustains.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That it is still continuing in the present and the future.
But if you want to
recording, when I say recording, I mean the violation hasn't stopped. So this man was imprisoned.
Yes.
It's still there, 2016, but the violation is happening. It's still happening. The National Human Rights Commission can hear such a case.
Yeah, but you would not go into the reasons, or you would not have the jurisdiction to go into the details as to why he was there, because of that. It's not within your jurisdiction.
No, we can't, because it's a violation that is happening. The violation has stopped. The violation occurred in 2016. The violation occurred in 2017. The violation occurred in 2018, 2019. We can, because it's a violation that is continuing.
So you think if you, for example, if you have to challenge, let's say, for example, the IGP for something that happened, or for the director of prisons, now, and this happens to be in the NHRC versus the IGP in Mr. A's case. Now, the defense of the IGP would be, Mr. George, they don't have jurisdiction to look into my activities and why I arrested this party in there from 2000 or beyond 2000 16. Would that evidence be sufficed in the court of law, trying to remedy the situation of that person who's been held in there? And by all means, yes, it's a court. But if IGP said, I have my evidence, he should be there. But what you are digging into is not within your jurisdiction.
Yeah, but if the act is very clear, section 24 is very clear. It says, unless that violation is a continuing violation. So whilst our jurisdiction is limited, if once the violation is continuing, the National Human Rights Commission has jurisdiction to hear such a complaint. So if a relative of a man or a woman whose rights is being violated, is being violated, certainly the National Human Rights Commission can hear it. In that would not be a status of limitation. We have a status of limitation because we cannot hear cases or violations that occur before the 24th of January 2018. But if the violation is continuing, yes, we have.
My problem here is the legal definition of a continuous violation. Violation. Yes.
So example, you have X was arrested in 2017, right?
Yes.
But X was never taken to any court.
Yes.
Yeah. He's not taken to any court. January 2014, January 2018 came. February 2018. So that is a violation that's occurring. It's continuing because due process has not been followed in the instance of X. X was arrested. X, according to the law, is supposed to be taken before a court of law within 72 hours.
But how about somebody still now at mile 2 wrongly convicted in 2000?
If the person is wrongly convicted,
or the person still now want to protest against his or her conviction?
Well, we'll advise the person to appeal because appeal will still be open to you. So if the person comes to lodge a complaint, we would say, well, you've been convicted by a competent court of law.
Yeah, isn't there a window period for an appeal?
Is there?
Isn't there a window period for somebody to make an appeal after a conviction has been passed?
I wouldn't know. I'm sorry, I wouldn't know that part. I'm not a lawyer.
I'm sure there is a. Let's assume, and I'm sure I can't verify it, but I'm sure certain sentences come with the conditions that you cannot appeal, or if it's passed, it's passed. But now let's say, for example, here we have a convicted person who cannot appeal, and and we have many of those on the mile 2 right now. People who are convicted because of there is no sufficient evidence, or because the government or the prosecutor lack to provide evidence. But now there are many of these cases at the mile 2 central prisons right now, but they did not have right to. So what will you do for advice?
Okay, so in December, we visited the prisons, all the 3 prisons, and we came across inmates in prison who, as you said, have their case, their appeals pending, right? Pending for probably a year, more than a year, 5 years, they're there, appeals pending. So what we did, we collected all their names. And what we are trying to do, what we have done, is to advise the judiciary to say, there are men and women in these prisons whose appeals are pending. So, if justice delayed is justice denied, then the judiciary need to ensure that those appeals are expeditiously heard. The NHRC is not a court of appeal. All what we can do is highlight the conditions of these people to the judiciary and to the Minister of Justice and advise. As I indicated to you, we have an advisory role. We can also advise the government. And we have done exactly that to ensure that because, as you said, appeals can take a while in this country. So if a person is convicted, it takes you 2-3 years to appeal. Probably you have a lawyer, but the lawyer is not diligently pursuing the case. Maybe the person is indigent. The person doesn't have the wherewithal to even hire a lawyer for the appeal, either to the Court of Appeal, from the High Court to the Court of Appeal, or to the Supreme Court. We have come across such cases, and what we have done is advise the state We have advised the Minister of Justice. We have advised the judiciary to say expeditiously deal with these cases. If need be, you move the court from where it is and bring it to the prisons so that they are able to hear these cases. And that is how far the national human rights can go. Highlight the issues that are happening in the prisons, especially as you alluded to appeal. Because really, everybody has the right to appeal. You can be convicted by a court of law, a competent court of law, but the person has the right to appeal. I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't pretend that I know does it have a status of limitation, period within which one can appeal? I don't know. But we have met men and women in prison, and we have advised the state.
Yes, I've seen that. It's now featured on your report, December 12 and 13, 2019, the conditions of prisons and detention centers. And we will come to the follow-up and the reaction from government. But also, what baffles me again, and what might be interesting to know, is the commission, its primary role is to give advice and recommend, and also try to identify where a possible human rights violation occurs and intervene.
Yes.
Now, in what cases would you give out decisions and enforce them? Because that is part of the powers that is on the commission.
Yeah, but okay, the commission is a the commission is not a judicial body. The commission is not a court. The commission has quasi-judicial powers. So when we sit, if you look at our mandate, when we are sitting, we have the powers of a high court. So and what does that mean? That we can summon people, we can summon documents, we can ask people, subpoena people to appear before us. We hear their cases, and then we make recommendations to the state. So of course, you are right that we have the power to enforce.
Yes.
But this has not yet been tested. Okay? It has not been tested, so therefore I cannot say anything about that, because the power to enforce, we have not tested it yet. We haven't had a case where we have asserted that mandate as a quasi-judicial body.
Yeah, but Mr. Drammeh, we are seeing evident cases of human rights violations in the Gambia every day.
Yes.
So what is stopping the council or the commission from testing its power to the limits?
But people I think we readers, viewers, and everybody needs to also understand that we are also a complaint-driven body. People need to come and lodge a complaint. We do not necessarily have that suo motu power. We can investigate, but primarily, and if you understand the mandate and powers of national human rights institutions, they are actually complaint-driven. People come to lodge a complaint. So once people come to lodge a complaint like that, we investigate. We have received complaints of human rights violation.
Okay.
Yeah, we have. Between January to now, we have received about 26 cases. And our investigators have disposed of about 19 cases. So people come to report, and we take action. There are times when like I give you a typical example. When the two radio stations were closed, Member Caring and I think Digital FM or whatever they call it.
Is it Choice FM or FM? Yeah, if that FM, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Member Caring and another FM. We actually wrote to the Ministry of Finance, to the state. The Ministry of Justice. We wrote to the state to know why those two radio stations were closed, and to advise that they need to open them. And so the commission played a mediation role between the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Information, and GPU within the buildings of the National Human Rights Commission, and we were able to persuade the state to open those cases. So in that instance, we were able to actually test our powers. But as I said, it's about complaints. So people complain to us. People have complained. I don't know whether you know about the Usman Dabo case.
I saw it on
from riot.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So a complaint was lodged, and the commission investigated it. The commission summoned documents from the police. So we have, but what I'm saying, your question was about enforcement and
Yes.
when people come. What I'm saying is that power has still not been tested.
And more likely, the powers to act as like not just to give recommendation or just to wait for complaints to come, but also having the judicial power to recommend a prosecution. Would you or arrest? Would you go that extent as well? Because it seems like reading your recommendations, let me go one up. Recommendation 5 is which is the conditions prison. And
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, or not even sure, evidently sure that nothing was done about it. Would the commission not act behind those kind of recommendations when they are not followed, or be a whistle? But I'm presuming here, for example, if I want to make it very, very simple, it's like a whistleblower, sort of. Am I right to say that?
No, we are not. I think let's make it very clear. We are not a court of law. We are not a police. We are not whistleblowers. We are not a CSO. We are not a whistleblower. But we can listen to whistleblowers. Whistleblowers can come and tell us as informants.
Okay.
Informants can come and tell us that a violation is happening there. And in the act, we have the powers to act on that and also protect informants. Okay. And yes, so we have. So informants can come and tell us. We are not whistleblowers, but informants can give us information. Witnesses can come to us. Complainants can as well come to us. Whilst you were right about the implementation of our recommendations, let's just bear in mind that it was just about last week that our annual report was actually shared with the state. At the moment, we are developing an implementation strategy. Yeah, with all our recommendations. So we hope that in the middle of the year, or at the end of the year, yourself and all the other media, the media around in the Gambia would hold us accountable.
Yeah.
Then you can tell us. As I said, we made about 91 recommendations to the state. Then maybe that would be the point. We can have midpoint or endpoint to tell us, to hold us to account how far the state has implemented our recommendations.
In fact, in another words, to call you back and challenge you again. What have you done?
Oh yeah, hold us accountable so that we would not be what they would call rubber stamp commission or toothless commission.
Yeah, but is it not the case now that what you said in code exists? Because
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. We what I'm telling you for free is that we have made recommendations to the state. I just give you a typical example. When COVID-19 started, we know that prisons would be one place where if the virus enters, I mean it could be deadly. We recommended to the state, especially to the Minister of Justice, for the president to exercise his powers, his prerogatives of mercy, and congest the prisons.
And he did.
Yes, about a week. It did.
Yeah.
We had a group of men from Serekunda Market when the state had all those stringent measures to prevent COVID-19. They came to the office. We had a meeting with them. Now, after the meeting, we send an advisory note to the state to say, these are the measures we think you should play, because whilst you are restricting people's civil and political rights, economic rights are also there. Yeah. And so if people are at home, but they don't have the wherewithal, because they were complaining that the state says they shouldn't sell, but They have loans at the bank, and loans would be paid regardless. They have rental charges to pay, and COVID-19 or no COVID-19, the rental charges will be paid. And they have a family to feed, and the state has not come up with any economic measure to ameliorate the hardship that COVID-19 will place on them. We advise the state. So the state is actually listening to us.
Yeah, but so we're gonna just go one step back about the COVID-19 which you mentioned. And I think at some point the state reduced the capacity of the Mile 2 prisons. They did.
Yes.
But
yes.
There's two problems that I can see here. Asking them to choose what they have done, and the first wrong was the over congested prison. Because I think if memory serves me well, the capacity of the Mile 2 Central Prison was, I think, about 260 people, about that initially, and about 260, 268 precisely. On a 270, that was the maximum capacity of the Mile 2 prisons, and right now it's filled with over 1,000, I think. But I will come to it again. But in regards to the support of the COVID support, which you did on one side of the coin, which you have visited and deemed it fit to give government recommendation on. How about the people living with HIV and AIDS and the disabled? Was there any kind of specific recommendation for government to consider?
No, there was not. There was not. But the commission made a statement, and our focus were basically those people, persons, especially persons living with disabilities and children, because we issued a statement and we told the state very clearly that it needs to put in place measures to protect these people, to ensure that their livelihood is augmented. I think we need to understand that because we are not a court of law.
Yep.
Our advisory role is only to make a recommendation to the state.
Yeah, but
regarding that.
But
if it's about violations of what do you expect us to do? To tell the state that you need to do X, Y, and Z for persons with disabilities, which we have done, and if they have not, what do you want us to do?
Yeah, but Mr. Drammeh, your commission, you do not exist, or your office does not exist by virtue of somebody wanting to make you exist. This is an act of parliament that created something to oversee and to make sure something is happening, and government really bound as if somebody just as the TRRC.
Yes.
But on a different route. Now we're talking about is it not NHRC commission, which exists as a result of an act of parliament.
Yes.
This was not part of the coalition agreement for it to happen. This was not part of the NDP for it to happen. This was from the lawmakers, from the people we put in office to represent us, who deem it fit to legalize a commission that will oversee and protect the rights of the individual. Now, in the case of this recommendation are not given, well, we said government are not upholding to a legal recommendation, in as much as you are giving recommendations. And the big picture, can we say they are legal or they are just mandatory recommendations?
No. Okay, so our recommendations are mainly, and recommendations everywhere are not necessarily legal, because a recommendation become legal when it's a verdict from the court, when it's a judgment from the court. But recommendations from treaty bodies, recommendations from special mechanisms, recommendations from National Human Rights Commission to the state are recommendations. They are not necessarily legally binding. So nowhere in the act does it say that the recommendations are binding, except if it is a decision of the court. So if it's about a violation of our human rights, we make decisions. The state is given 30 days to respond and tell us what measures it is doing to implement those recommendations, those decisions.
Okay.
So it would be a decision in relation to a human rights violation that the commission has investigated, and then there should be remedial action.
And if that didn't happen? What if the government did not respond or did not execute your recommendation? What happened then?
Or then we will go to court to enforce it. We'll go to court, and the court enforces that decision.
This is where I was coming from.
We go to court. If we make such a recommendation and the state doesn't follow, because in the NHRC Act doesn't say that the state would say, I will not do. The state would have to show us what actions it is taking to implement the recommendation or the decision of the commission. If the state fails to do that, then we go to the court. We will go to court to ensure that the court forces the government to implement our decision.
Have that been tested so far?
No, it has not been. It has not been tested so far.
Okay, I'm someone asking the outcome of the Usman Dabo's case. I'm not sure if you have any answer, or do you want that to remain as a private thing, or is something ongoing?
Well, I think what the state is saying is that Usman Dabo did not die of torture. The pathologist report said he didn't die of torture.
So that will be the end of your case as far as the commission is concerned.
Yes, but we have made recommendations.
Okay.
We have recommended to the state to train the police officers to ensure that torture doesn't take place. We have made recommendations to the state to ensure that when people are arrested, the due process follows. Because if you've been following the Usman Dabo case,
yeah.
The allegation was that he died as a result of torture.
Okay, Mr. Drammeh, is torture illegal in the Gambia?
You see, torture is not criminalized.
Okay. Yes, because
the Constitution prohibits torture.
Yes.
What are the penalties that you face if one commits torture? It's not there.
No, I'll agree with you, because I was
so torture is not necessarily criminalized.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We hope that I think the Ministry of Justice, they are working on it, and then if you look at our report on torture, we have also told the state to ensure that torture is criminalized.
Okay. And also my bigger problem, I will focus this thing. I think the bigger problem here we're having is the commission. One problem is maybe, or perhaps many Gambians don't know that it exists. Could that be one of the reasons why your job is not being seen as a proactive job, rather, something which is not as popular as TRRC, for example?
No, you
aware of its existence.
You are right. The commission came into being, as I told you, on the 14th of February 2019. The commission had no office at the time. It was just the 5 commissioners who were doing everything, squatting in a particular office at the UNTJ. It was only in August, September that we started recruitment, and it was only in October that we had a full-fledged secretariat and an office. But notwithstanding, in November, the commission actually undertook a nationwide tour. We went to all the regions and had a meeting in all the regional office, in all the offices of governors and mayors to popularize it. But yes, you are right that not many Gambians know about our existence. Not many Gambians know about what powers we have. Not many Gambians know that they have a commission to which they can report every type of human rights violation: civil, political, economic, social, cultural, environmental. And 2020, we hope to deepen that. We hope to engage in massive sensitization and awareness raising and education and capacity building, so that both duty bearers and right holders know that we exist and that such a body is there. But yeah, you are on sport that people don't know about us.
Okay, Mr. Drammeh, if any of these commissioners wanted to challenge government in regards to current human rights violations, what would happen? Because of I'm not gonna give you everything I have here. I'll wait for the answer, but I'm sure you know where I'm coming from. I'm coming to the job security of commissioner as far as the presidential involvement is concerned.
There is not much presidential involvement from
but according to the act, the president may not want to go by recommendations and refer to go to court, but the president, but the act, the president may, by powers vested on him as per the act, can act upon section 9 A, B, C, D, and E, and F.
And do what?
Remove you from office.
No, but the removal would be difficult.
Yeah, but it does specific
because he has to submit. He may remove, but the removal of a commissioner is very difficult. The president has to show cause reason why he wants Njundu removed there, the National Assembly has an important role to play. The president has to tell the National Assembly, especially the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, why Njundu should be removed. So it would not just be, I am not serving, or none of the commissioners is serving as a commissioner at the pleasure of the president, or at the pleasure of any organization, or at the pleasure of anybody. We are all serving in the commission in our individual capacities. So if the president wants to remove a commissioner, it would be if you read the act very, very, very carefully, it's difficult.
Yeah, but the president will only contact the National Assembly only on certain section. But on subsection 1A, inability to perform his or her duty,
but look at it, arising from infirmity of body, of mind, or body, or from any other cause. Any other cause relating to infirmity of body or of mind. So yeah,
but given the fact and previous experiences in the Gambia, the president hire and fire right now. But
look, if you look at section 9(2), the president may remove a member of the commission from office under paragraph A of section 1, following a report submitted by a properly constituted medical board.
But what if the alleged crime in question has nothing to do with medical, has to do with competence?
Yeah, then section 9(1)A will not apply. Then we look at whether is it through misconduct, including failing or refusing to participate in the work of the commission. And so that information would have to come from the commission to the president that Njundu is neglecting his work. Njundu is not participating in the commission, because the president wouldn't know unless the commission gives the president that information.
Well, yes,
or incompetence, or bankruptcy, or conviction, just like any other commission.
Normally, and in the real world, and in the fair and democratic world, that's exactly what should happen.
Yes.
Yes, because it's on paper right now. But
yes,
the fact that we have given the power for the president to interfere or to even think of removing a commissioner.
Yes.
That also sounds very worrying. Why would the commission just act on their own and be independent from the executive?
Well, again, good point you have raised there. The present commissioners are not the drafters of this constitution. We hope that in our work as commissioners, that we'll be very, very independent in the work that we do, and so we also hope that other people will also have their eyes on the commission, because and ensure that nobody interferes in the work of the commission.
Because remember, also, I'm having here a very controversial section where the president shall appoint members of the commission who shall include at least 2 women first among persons. If the president is given the right to appoint, remember the case of Yakubu when when the debate was, when the section did not, well, thank God here, there may be a difference, but I'm looking at the first problem, where the president can appoint, and some argument where powers conferred upon him to appoint is the same powers would be conferred upon him to revoke the appointment. Now, now we in a democracy, appointment in the government is seen as a politically motivated gesture.
Yes.
And especially where the president will appoint in consultation with the Public Service Commission.
Yes.
So now your dismissal may come from the head Secretary General.
Okay, so that is okay. We are all engaged in presumptions that if the president does X, Y, and Z. But if where's the access the president appoints? If you go to the schedule of the act, you would see how the commissioners were actually were appointed. Yeah, very clear. If you go to Schedule 1, which is Section 5, it sets out the procedures for the appointment of members of the commission. So the president appoints, yes, de jure by law, but a committee was actually set up. And if you look at the composition of that committee, mainly civil society. Yeah, it was the representative of civil society that did the vetting. It was them that did the shortlisting. It was them that sent to the National Assembly, and it was the National Assembly. They submitted names of 7 people, and out of that 7, the National Assembly selected 5. And those were the 5 names that were sent to the president. And the president did not question the appearance of any name on that list. So at least we can say very safely that in the appointment of the first commissioners of the National Human Rights Commission, the president did not play a part.
Yeah, but Mr. Drammeh, that was the explanation put in the report. But now, if you're looking for the same Section 5, the Schedule 5 you are talking about here, it's saying that also the president shall, through the minister, advertise a transparent manner in stable, qualified president. And those lists.
So that was met.
Yeah,
that was met.
So those lists.
The Minister of Justice advertised the position. That was a whole 1 week, 2 weeks. On the papers, that if anybody who is interested, who meets the criteria to apply, that was how Njundu came to know about it and applied. That was how other people came to know about it and applied.
So then
and after that, a committee was set up.
Then Section 9 is confusion then and conflicting.
No, it's not conflicting.
Or it's kept there for somebody to use at their own disposal.
No, I disagree. How?
Because if you are given the power to remove by the same act, and the same act, because Schedule 5 is more of how to create.
Yes.
But
so Section 5 talks about more about removal.
Yes, but okay. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to
do but you can therefore see that the intention of the drafters of the National Human Rights Commission Act was actually to ensure that the president has very limited powers in the appointment of the commissioners. Well, yes, he appoints them. But you see the process. The Minister of Justice would have to advertise it, make it open to all Gambians who feel that they are competent to become commissioners. So the president wouldn't identify X, Y, and Z. If Njundu feels that he's qualified, Njundu applies. If Pamodu feels that he's qualified, Pamodu applies. So everybody applies. So don't hide it. Don't hide it. So they did that. So it was very transparent. It was advertised in nearly all the newspapers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
People like Njundu applied. But not only that, they did not take the application to State House. The applications were taken. I submitted my application to the Minister of Justice. And I know that a committee was set up.
Okay.
Comprising predominantly of civil society people who did the vetting. They had their own criteria. They had their own qualifications. And out of the list of people who applied, and I don't know how many people actually applied, they submitted 7 names to the National Assembly. Again, not to the office of the president. It was the National Assembly. And not just a standing committee of the National Assembly. It was the whole National Assembly that debated the names. In fact, there was a time when they had to stand down the debate to say, we want to see the CVs of all these applicants.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a thorough, of course, maybe unlike the American system, commissioners were not called to be interviewed by the National Assembly, but they debated it.
Okay, thank you. And
I think names.
Yes, I think it's very clear. I think the composition of the commission, those who are listening and those who will be watching over, will understand the composition of the commission, and also it is a highly independent body of any political affiliation in the execution of their duty, and that could. Now let's come to the composition itself and the people and who was or selected or who is appointed and why. And before we have less than 3 minutes to go, I'm going to go straight to the point. Now, we've seen recently this rumor about the gay thing in the Gambia.
Yes.
What is the position of the commission in regards to this gay thing in the Gambia?
The position of the commission on the gay thing is very clear. The commission recognizes that the criminal code prohibits homosexuality and homosexual act. And as far as the commission is concerned, that law has not changed. And so therefore the commission recognizes and accepts that homosexuality is criminalized in the Gambia. That is very important for the commission, and the commission knows that very well. The commission's position is not for decriminalizing. What the commission is state is to ensure that if there is a gay in this Gambia who is Gambian or who is living in the Gambia with rights, the state ought to ensure that that person is protected. And by protection, what we mean is that the state ensures that Pamodu, Njundu, Lamin, Binta, who are heterosexual, who don't like gay things, don't go and attack them, don't go and kill them, don't go and discriminate against them, don't go and bully them. That when that happens, the state must ensure that the police protect them. Just like the police would protect me if I steal, just like the police would protect you if you disagree with somebody. So that is all what the National Human Rights Commission recommended to the state to fulfill its obligation to protect. An obligation to protect in human rights means that the state must ensure that people do not violate each other's rights. So that is the position of the commission, not the criminalization. Nowhere did the commission mention that the gay, lesbian, whatever should be decriminalized, because the commission is not a law-making body. The commission hasn't advised the state relating to that. All what we said is protect their rights. Make sure that nobody is violent or violates their rights. So I think we need to be careful. Yeah. What the act prohibits is homosexual act, sodomy, so to speak. Even our constitution, the present constitution, is not very clear on the issues of marriage. The draft constitution is very clear. It says marriage shall be between a man and a woman. In the other the 1997 constitution, it says adults, men who have reached that age. But we know that same-sex marriage is not allowed in the Gambia. So therefore, we are not even talking about that. Okay, we are saying if gays exist in this country, the state should protect. If the gays don't exist, the state is not the protection mandate. The state will say, okay, we will protect them when we have. Okay, when their rights are violated.
Would the commission also recommend for that section for that act to be removed from the or would you not necessarily to ask the government to decriminalize, but also to protect or to accept that that is not a crime because it's their choice, it's their right.
You see, at the end of the day, the state is the primary duty bearer. In November, I think around 10th of November 2019, the state was before the Human Rights Council through what is called Universal Periodic Review. The commission, the Human Rights Council, when it reviewed the state's human rights report, it made 222 recommendations to the state. The state accepted 207 recommendations. 15 recommendations were rejected by the state. All the 15 were on gay and LGBTIQ rights. And the state said they would not decriminalize. That is the state. We can only talk about rights that the state has given to people. If the state has not given to people, we cannot claim, the commission cannot talk about those rights. Ultimately, we know that this country is a dualist legal system. International legal instruments only become binding on the state and on the state when they are domesticated and harmonized, when they are harmonized and domesticated. So even if the state has ratified an international legal instrument, but it says no, we are not going to decriminalize LGBT rights. Well, who is the commission to say legitimize or decriminalize? No, we cannot.
Because
our powers, if you look at our mandate, it's very clear. It says to promote and protect human rights. You cannot protect what's not given. We cannot protect the commission protect what is not given.
But Mr. Drammeh, rights are not given.
Cannot promote what is not given.
Yeah, but rights are not given. Rights are things that my right to live is not being given. It's not being given by the states. What the state could do is protect my life to live.
No, certainly, you know that rights are natural. So if you are a believer in the natural theory of rights, then you can say no, rights are God-given. But if the state is a believer in what is called the legalistic theory of rights, that rights are only what the Constitution says and what other laws are, well, then that would be a divergence here. You and I could be a believer in the natural theory of rights, that the state doesn't give rights to people. But you can have the state that believes that no, the state gives, because for every right that you can claim for, you need to find a source. Then if you say Pamodu's rights are violated, we can say, well, yeah, Section X in the Constitution is violated, Section Y in the Children's Act is violated, Section Z in this. But if they are not there, the commission cannot promote what is not there. The commission cannot protect what's not there. But the commission can tell the state, if the laws are not there, it doesn't negate your obligation to protect. If you say you are not going to fulfill, and by fulfilling meaning putting laws in place, that is your prerogative. But the state cannot run away from its obligation to protect. No way.
So the stance of the commission is not to tell government, yes, accept gay in the Gambia. Rather, is talking at the individual, regardless of what you are.
Yes, protect them.
Now, that will bring me all the way down to the recent announcement of one of the commission members. I'm not sure if you are comfortable speaking about that, but I'll still give it a try, and maybe we may have a limitation into that.
Okay.
But we're given, if you look at the composition of the commission and who and their appointments, people are appointed based on their high morality, integrity, and also respect for public and as well as vast in support of human rights. Okay. Now, when I went to the report, one of the commissioners, an imam, did make a pronouncement, but then it followed a nationwide row. People keep insulting and saying other things, and also.
But what? Sorry. What did the imam say?
That's the thing.
The imam didn't say anything.
That's the thing.
The whole nation The whole nation owe Imam Babali an apology. Imam Babali didn't say anything about the gay rights. It was the commission that recommended to the state to protect. It was not Imam Babali. I think the whole nation owes Imam Babali an apology. Imam Babali can have his own opinion about LGBT, but the recommendation that were made was not that of Imam Babali. Yeah, it was that of a commission.
But remember here, Imam Babali is not Pa Usman Cham. We are talking about.
But Pa Usman Cham, Imam Babali is not a representative of the Supreme Islamic Council in the commission. Imam Babali is not a representative of the Muslim community in the NHRC. Imam Babali is in the commission in his capacity as Imam Babali, as an individual who the selection committee thinks has all the qualities, all the qualifications, all the criteria to become a human rights commissioner. So his being an imam was not the issue. It was never considered.
But
because that is also a Muslim. But we can also say that Njundu is also in the commission as a representative of Muslims, or as a representative of civil society, or as a representative of Kerawan. But I am not there as a representative of Kerawan. I'm not in the commission as a representative of CPA.
But Mr. Drammeh, would it be, I can see here a conflict of interest.
There's no conflict of interest.
If Imam Babali works for the commission from Monday to Friday, let's say, for example, or if that's the case, Monday to Friday,
full time,
8 to 4.
Yes,
in the commission. Imam Babali said, okay, we interviewed him and said, Imam, what do you think about the gay? He said, oh no, all we know, or just give me the same answer as you giving me, their rights. Now, and what can we act? Now, Friday after 4 or 12 o'clock, Imam Babali went to the mosque and preached.
Yes.
And said, we're not going to accept this. It's against Islam. It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Now, and that would be expected of him either way. Because he's an imam, and he is in the commission with the title, as they officially call him, Imam Babali.
Yes. But he's also an imam.
Yes, but he is an imam, and he is an imam in a commission where common law is observed. He is an imam. He is an imam in a commission that says rights are given and controlled by the states, but not God.
Yes.
And on Fridays, he will start in a house of God and said, in a Rajahun. He will start in that mosque and said, God gift and God take. He will start in that podium and said, we are here purposely to serve God. That means we exist.
Yes.
The commission might say otherwise of our existence. The commission would not. The commission is a common law. The commission agrees that there is a lawful kill. That's when the state sentence you to death.
Yes.
Imam Babali might differ on Fridays. Now, isn't there any conflict of interest in terms of?
No. There's no conflict of interest.
Okay.
You see, the commission, we also realize that the commission cannot. It doesn't mean that all the commissioners can agree on an issue. And so if commissioners don't agree on an issue, and a commissioner can make a disclaimer. So we can.
But then the commissioner is not competent to be a commissioner.
No. It's because commission decisions are taken as per majority decision. When we disagree at the commission level, we vote. We vote.
Hang on, I can put it down. Because I can't understand somebody's right being violated and a vote is put on the certainty of.
No. I'm not saying right. I'm saying when we are taking decisions, not on right violations. The commission is also a decision-making body on other matters, other administrative matters, not on human rights violations.
Now, but the whole purpose of being a commissioner, the main priority TOR is human rights violation, like we said.
No, not only human rights. Not only human rights violations. The commission has a monitoring mandate. The commission has a promotion mandate. The commission has has other mandates, not just promotion and protection.
Yeah,
but what I'm trying to tell you is that in your house, in my house, there is a decision-making process.
Yes.
Not necessarily about violation.
Yes.
You don't vote on certain things. But let's say, for instance, we want to buy a generator because we don't have one, and then we need to make a decision as to where to buy. And we have an executive secretary who now is in the commission to explain. And if the commission needs to make a decision on that issue, and then the commission disagrees, then the commission votes. Then we vote on decision. Even at meetings, people vote. Not on human rights violations, but on other decisions, on policy matters. The commission decides.
Yeah, but Mr. Drammeh.
So let's come back. Let's come back to Imam Babali's case.
Okay, before you come back there, when you explain that those votes are internal proceedings.
They are internal. They are internal proceedings.
Yes, but my where I was coming for, the promote, the protect, and the monitoring, these are all in respect of human rights in the Gambia.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, your point was about Babali, unless you give me another example. But the whole issue about gay rights. Okay, the whole issue is about gay rights.
Okay, my example now here today. In my house, like you said, my house, like I say, my rules. Because I give money. In your house, your rules.
You give money, but Madam cooks. And
but the bottom line,
the children also have so you are not. I'm sure you are not a dictator in the house.
No. Okay, but
you put everything on the table and everybody discusses it, and probably sometimes you put it to vote, and maybe the children's voice would outweigh yours.
Okay, that's fine. I do that. Okay, now I give another example. In my house, I have a choice of what to eat, even though I give the money and Madam cooks.
Yes.
I have a choice not to eat.
Yes.
Likewise, your house.
Yes.
But if I was in the military today, me and you going in the military, we don't have a choice because the company policy, right? What the choice you are given and the rights you are given in your house is different from the rights you be having at a workplace, because there is a workplace policy. Like example, in my own personal view, if you ask me, do you like gay? I would say no. But in my workplace, I subscribe to the Equality Act.
Yes,
in my workplace, I wear my professional shirt to accept everything that's within my books or within my company and office policy. That is different. Yes. Therefore, if I go home, I can say, "Get out! You are gay. Don't come into my house." But
would that be a conflict of interest?
That would not be a conflict. Well, it depends on the circumstance that
No. Would that be a conflict of interest in your instance?
Yeah, but if in the military, example.
No. What I'm saying is, whether it's in the military, we have workplace codes of conduct.
Yes.
Probably you have a code of conduct in your workplace that says you cannot harass, you cannot insult, you cannot do X, Y, and Z. And then you come home and insult, you come home and harass. But would that be a conflict of interest?
But remember here, my household where I control is not.
You don't control your household. You are only in charge of your household. It's Madam who is in control of your house.
Yeah, but now, okay, in my house where I have a choice,
yes,
it's not subject to public scrutiny, or it's not a public, like for example, in the mosque and at the work, it's different. Because mosque, unless now we are going back to agreement, unless Imam Bawi says, okay, the issue of gay, the issue of gay rights is not a subject I would discuss in my mosque because it's my choice.
No, but if Imam Babali says that homosexuality or homosexual act is forbidden both in the Quran and in law, Imam Babali would be right, because it's prohibited in the Quran. It's prohibited in law. Now, and the National Human Rights Commission cannot, as I said, we cannot promote or protect what's not given.
Okay, now
the law prohibits it, so we cannot go around and tell people that engage in homosexual act. We will be putting them in danger. Because then they engage in it. Law enforcement officers go and arrest them.
But remember here, Mr. Drammeh, we are expecting. Let's say, for example, we have a homosexual, or we have some people convicted of or caught in the act and be convicted.
Yes.
We expect Mambali to stood and give a press conference and said their rights must be respected. They are human beings.
But yes, and every Muslim who understands the Quran, every Muslim who understands the attitude and behavior of the Holy Prophet would stand for a minority, because the Prophet was the greatest defender of minorities. Because it's also about due process. Islam has Qadi courts. Islam has Sharia, and Sharia is a piece of law. You don't just get up and cut off people's head in Sharia. You have to follow the law. So if Imam Babali also says follow the law, he would be within his rights, both as a Muslim and as a member of the commission, and as somebody who is a guardian of the law.
So we are seeing here Imam Fati saying if he goes to work Monday to Friday, he will say okay, let me start. If Fridays he will say gay for haram, gay is bad, homosexuality is haram, it's a no for Gambia, right? And if he wakes up on Monday and goes to work, he will say, let's protect them.
Oh yes, but if you say let's protect them, you are not saying it's not haram. But what you're saying is that don't kill them. What you're saying is that follow the due process. If they do something, take them to court. And that is what Islam is. Islam is not a violent religion. Islam is not a religion that doesn't follow the due process. Islam is all about fairness and justice. And so if Imam says, take them to the police station, take them to court, take them through the due process, he would be right. Because that is what Islam recognizes. That's what Islam recommends. Islam would say, if you see kill, Islam would say take before the Amir. Because we know that in Islam it's the Amir. And the Amir is just not only a leader, he's also a religious leader. So if Imam Babali does that, my knowledge in Islam is limited, but I guess that would be in place. Because, as I said, the law criminalizes it. So if Imam Babali at the pulpit on Friday says, gay is haram, gay is haram, gay is haram, and then on Monday he goes and say, protect gays, well, he's right. Stealing is haram. Stealing is bad. And we can say stealing is bad. But if we catch a thief here, would you allow us to put a nail through his or her head? No.
No, okay.
Stealing is bad.
Okay.
But stealing is bad.
Somebody is saying here that he's getting a debate. If you give him too much space, he will overshadow you.
No. He knows you are a better questioner, than me.
No, I think to be honest with you, listeners who are listening, we are not trying to justify right or wrong here. We are trying to draw the line. We are trying to correct a miscommunication that happened.
Exactly.
I clearly understand where Imam Babali is coming from.
Exactly.
And this issue should not be looked from a political perspective
or personalized.
Yes, and today I had the EU commissioner said he never said the Gambia to accept or legalize gay. He never said that. And when I saw the headline and with your boss face on it saying gay rights should be respected in the Gambia, something like effect, and I think that was right. But they did not go further and explain because it's not the act itself that we're concerned about, because the act is a problem in the Gambia at this point of time. But until and unless we have a test case, then perhaps maybe somebody will say, "Oh, this was what I meant." You don't stone people; you follow due process. Yes. Protecting somebody's rights is for due process. But again, I would love to see the stance of the commission in trying to tell government to decriminalize what people feel that they're comfortable with. One of them is the gay thing. Would the commission go that far?
No. At the end of the day, the commission doesn't make laws.
Recommend.
Recommend? Well, we would have
to decriminalize.
We'll have to look, we would have to look at it. As far as I've said it very clear, 15 recommendations from the working group of the UPR, state rejected all of them. So we know the position of the state. And it's the state that can take law. So why would you be, we will be asking for the moon if we want to do that. We will be we'll actually be banging our heads against the brick wall. So, and we know that really laws are also not made in isolation. When you want to have a law that would be respected by people, you need to also look at your social context. You need to look at your cultural context. You need to look at your religious context, because you don't also want to make a law that people would disobey. I think we need to also understand that law, we don't make laws to be disobeyed. You make laws to be obeyed. And so if majority of the Gambians, quite a lot, both Muslims and Christians and everybody is saying no, then the state needs to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
All the national human rights can do is to say protect them. But we also wouldn't want the state to say, we cannot say decriminalize. When the state does that and people go after very innocent men and women and kill them, I mean, that would be total negation of responsibility on our side. And so I'm sure you, Pa, would agree that we don't make laws to be disobeyed.
No.
When people know that a particular law is against their culture, a particular law is against their religion, a particular law is against their whole social bearing, what you would have would be disobedience to the law. And when people are disobedient to the law, they don't only disobey the law, they disobey authority itself. Yeah. And so what we would have would be a society, would be chaos, would be rebellion in the country.
Mr. Drammeh, would you think Babali would resign as a sort of this row and
why should he resign? I've told you very clearly, the whole country owes Imam Babali a big apology, because so Imam never talked about gay rights. He never said it anywhere. He never said decriminalize. He never said state fulfill. He never said state respect. It was the National Human Rights Commission. And the National Human Rights Commission position was clear. What we told the state is respect their rights. You say you are not going to fulfill, you are not going to legislate, that's fine. You say you are not going to respect, that's fine, but protect.
Yeah, but would you not ask government to say, look, that is a right that they have. I have the right to be what I want to be. Would you not tell government to say, look, we are a commission, a human rights commission, just like the EU is telling Gambia.
Our mandate is clear.
Okay, let's go outside the mandate.
It says no, we cannot go outside our mandate.
Yeah, but
it would be an illegality. We cannot go outside our mandate.
But criminalizing homosexuality violates somebody's right.
Yes, I agree with you, but this is Njundu speaking. Our act is very clear. It says the commission shall promote and protect human rights in the Gambia. It doesn't say the commission shall legislate.
No, but not legislate, but the commission.
And I have said it very clear that the Gambia is a dualist legal system. Ratifying international legal instruments do not make them binding unless they are harmonized and domesticated. And so the state may ratify international. We know if we go through the Geneva Conventions of Treaties, we know what obligations are placed on the state. But if the Gambia says very clearly, even at the international level, before the Human Rights Council, the commission, the Gambia rejected 15 recommendations relating to LGBTI. The commission cannot, because the commission is a creation of the state.
Yeah.
And if the state is saying we are not going to, what can a creature of that state do?
Nothing.
We are a creation, we are a creature of the state. And the state, the Gambia, not just the government, the state is saying we are not going to decriminalize LGBT rights or LGBT or homosexuality. Because again, when we say LGBT rights, I think we are also probably missing the point, because rights are many. You have political rights, you have civil rights, you have economic rights, you have social rights, of cultural rights. And LGBT, they have rights. All what the law criminalizes is homosexuality. Or sodomy. That is what the state, and I think people don't understand that homosexuality is just not for only people, men to men there. If Njundu does it with a woman and there is evidence against this, Njundu would be Njundu, even if Njundu is heterosexual. If somebody does it with your husband, with your wife, it's all unnatural acts. That is what the law says, unnatural act. So the unnatural act is just not for one group of people, it's for everybody.
I think what I'm seeing here is that the communication breakdown between institutions specific to human rights and the people and population. Because remember, I'm trying to find out here privileges and rights. They are different. And
very different.
And part of your mandate, which I'm finding here, which I could see, I'm not sure how much extent does the commission would go to also remind people of their responsibilities, because in as much as the commission is promoting rights, they must also remind people of their responsibilities.
Certainly.
Like I'm doing a report of the government denial of permit. Yes. Public Order Act. And people will just go up and say, I want to have a protest, even if you give the permit or not. And you're giving the permit and it goes violent. And then the Human Rights Council will jump in. But would they look at the responsibility aspect of that as well?
No, that is important. That is important. But I think for me, really, and looking at the history of protests in the Gambia and how protests have become violent, certainly they have never come from the side of protesters, as far as I know. The violence has always come from the side of the law enforcement. If you look at our recommendation, we have made some recommendations to the state on how on crowd management, on protest management, but also we have also told the state to move from permit to notification, because in the UK it's notification you have, not permit. So you give notification to the police that we want to organize a demonstration, a protest on day X and on street Y. And then the police can advise you to say, no, day X is not good, or day X is good, but on street Y, that would be a counter protest. So you either push it or you go to street Z. So, and that is our recommendation, because internationally, that is the recommendation. The African Commission on Human and People's Rights had a whole position, a whole advisory note for African states to move from permit to notification. And that's what we are saying. But of course, you are right that for every right, there is a corresponding duty, there is a corresponding responsibility. And so the National Human Rights Commission, the National Council for Civic Education, Child Protection Alliance, everybody actually is also doing that with children, with women, with adults. That if you have because fulfilling one's rights is also about citizenship. We are demanding that the state needs to provide services. As citizens, we also need to be paying our taxes. You cannot be evading tax and yet expect that a state would provide services. So paying tax would therefore become a responsibility. We cannot tell the state to keep our streets clean, but when we are dumping, when we are throwing dump, when we are making the street actually a dump site. Okay. So yes, I agree responsibilities are important and they need to be emphasized, and the commission would continue to emphasize that.
So I know this question, this will be my last one. I know the act did not specifically mention about this, but I'm going to bring it up. Maybe it's on the pipeline. The rights of the Gambians in the diaspora to have a say in electoral process. Has the commission at any point think about or discuss or engage government in respecting their rights to be considered as the sixth constituency of the Gambia to vote?
I wouldn't. This answer I am giving is not. Let me make it very clear. It's not it is Njundu's opinion, Njundu's personal opinion. Yes. I think everybody in the diaspora who is of age, who has clicked 18 years should have the right to vote. The diaspora is contributing more to the economy of this country than any sector, as far as I know. Probably more than half of the families in this country are depending on remittance. So, and they are Gambians, really. So I would want to see the diaspora vote. I would want to see the diaspora give the right to vote. The logistics, the state should be able to take care of that. In this time and age, in this modern age, in this age of technology, really everybody in every corner of the because at the end of the day, they also have a stake in the affairs of the country. So my personal opinion, diaspora should have a right to vote.
So would the commission
probably the right to hold positions, maybe not the president, but the right to hold every other position apart from that of president.
But you are a commissioner, you are denying me to be a president in the Gambia.
Oh yeah, because you can be president. No, I'm joking about that. Really. I mean, let me say this. This is my personal opinion. If Pa as a diasporan becomes a president of the Gambia, the only condition I probably would tell Pa, you then need to abdicate or give up one of your citizenship.
Okay. And the commission is not involved in trying to negotiate or advise government in that respect.
Oh, it has not come, but I know that I can speak for all the other commissioners in their individual capacity. They would want to see this, and I think I'm not very sure, but I think in our response to the issue document that was issued by the CRC, the commission actually recommended that diasporans be given the right to vote.
So yeah. If I make a complaint today to the commission that my right to vote is restricted by the Gambia government, would that be a case for the government to investigate?
We cannot because the constitution or no law actually has given you that right. But what would be our basis if we tell them and they ask us what section of the constitution or of any law of the Gambia is violated? What would we say?
My right to vote. I mean, I have a passport. I have a birth certificate. I have an ID card, but I only live in another geographical location.
Yes.
And the Constitution did not say a Gambian in Gambia.
It says a Gambian.
Yes, exactly. So now,
so maybe what we can do, Pa, is we can advise Pa to say, because that then becomes a question of interpretation.
Exactly.
Who is Gambian? Then we will ask Pa to go to the Supreme Court so that the five judges or 6 judges would then interpret. Yeah, it's not within the powers of the commission to interpret who is Gambian.
Yeah, but the commission would at some point definitely look at past claim, how genuine is past claim, and one of them would be let's look at also who's a Gambian. And in the 1997 Constitution, there is no geographical location restriction mentioned in the who to vote. Now,
but the commission is not a constitutional interpretation body. If such a case comes, either Pa or the commission can then work, as they would say in Mandinkan, denkem. We go to the court, we go to the Supreme Court and say, here is a question. If we say a Gambian, do we mean somebody who is within the geographical boundary called the Gambia, surrounded by Senegal only on one side, or do we mean also somebody who is outside, relating to right to vote? It would be the commission cannot arrogate to itself a power that it doesn't have. We do not have interpretation power.
What I was saying is to ascertain the validity of any claim at first hand. If I call you over the phone or if I send an email, yes, you go to work tomorrow and see a complaint.
Yeah.
Before you would want to look at what the complaint is all about. You would want to look at the merits of that complaint.
Oh, certainly.
This is
certainly our legal team, which is actually composed of very competent lawyers, would look at your case. They would look at the laws of the Gambia. They would look at international legal instruments and what they say to right to vote.
So
wait. They would make a legal opinion. They would make a legal opinion. They can either tell us at the end that past case is admissible or past case is inadmissible. But if they say your case is admissible, then certainly the commission would hear it. If they say your case is inadmissible, then the commission wouldn't hear it. Your question was about the constitution not saying that a Gambian is somebody who lives within the geographical location called the Gambia. And so we raised the question that would probably be a constitutional interpretation.
Okay. Yes.
The Supreme Court, not the commission. Okay. But of course, if the case comes to the commission, we would look at our legal team would look at its admissibility or inadmissibility. We have a whole criteria relating to admissibility or inadmissibility of cases.
Okay. Do you normally, does the commission normally send representatives to sit in court and observe proceedings to see where there would be violations of human rights?
They do. When there are cases that we have serious interest in and they borders on human rights, our investigators and legal officers go to court. And in fact, I tell you, the other thing that we are thinking of and trying to develop is to serve as what they call a friend of the court, amis, I don't know, something amis curiae, but I think the Latin meaning of it is a friend of the court. Because we have our legal team also comprises lawyers, people who are actually being called to the bar, who are practicing, who can also go to court and serve as a friend of the court. So yeah, we have a lot of good ideas in the pipeline.
And would that mean that you're gonna expand to get more people on board and expand employ more people to do those jobs, or within yourself?
Oh yes. Not only employ more people, but also have a regional presence. We also want to go in regions.
Amicus Curiae.
Yes. Amicus Curiae. Yes. AMICUSCURAE, something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Amicus Curiae.
Thank you, Mr. Drammeh, for coming, and I really appreciate your time, and also our sincere thanks on behalf of VOD to the entire commissioner, because we sent an email to the commissioner. Is it the chairperson of the commissioner? And,
yes, the chairperson.
He was very cooperative, and we sincerely appreciate his swift response. I think even he was on leave, but he has to send an email and reply. So so I can. And even yourself, I contacted you once and you sent an email. So I wish the whole Gambia was this kind of media or IT-oriented email and reply. That has been our problem in the media houses to the people. And the commission, their response was very swift, quick, and they were very quick in responding. So I would not see any fault in the commission in regards to I contacted them, but they haven't responded. I will not practice to witness that film because I have witnessed myself, and it's been a different case. So I would like to say thank you to the office, to the commission, and specifically to the chairperson, and also I wish them all the best of luck in the job they're doing. And I hope one day the Gambia would even need a commission. Well, of course, then we will get stories, but yeah, but it's good not to have those bad things anyway. But
yeah, certainly.
Also hard time because I want to dwell more on our mile 2, but that would not be again your mandate if I push too far.
Oh yes.
But I hope that you're constantly on the toes of government to remember that there is a part of our Gambian society alongside the Bayern Highway that human rights violations are taking place every day and they need to be revisited. So I'm thanking you very, very well. And what's your last words for people?
Thank you. Well, I'm so grateful to be invited, and be rest assured when you want us to talk about any human rights thing in the Gambia, we are more than willing to respond. Just lastly, and relating to the prisons, as you know, on the 12th and 13th, we made a visit. Once I get the PDF version of the report, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and also we what we want is media friendly. We are VOD is a small baby company, not too small though. We are big, but we would want to be affiliated with people who are in a position of information, because I can see
Yes.
in Gambia the lack of information is a big barrier. The issue of Babel is an example, and the
Mhm.
interpretation and how people are reacting is not worth it. And
Mhm.
like yourself or where you work, they are the only ones who can better society, provide that we get what we want at the right time and as accurate as it. I didn't invite you. You didn't come. Well, you did come on your own accord, but we are happy that you can speak on behalf of the council because we follow due
Mhm.
process. And I think that's what all about. I think we exercise our human right
Yeah,
to
exactly.
so I'm very honored and I'm very pleased with with where you work, and I really value the work that you do, knowing you
Thank
from New
you.
York, and it's been a long time, and it's also been a very good process of development where you were and today, and I hope the Gambia appreciates you, and I hope the Gambia appreciates also the National Human Rights Council, that they are not interpreters of the law. They are not to tell government do or don't do, but rather they are at the end result to see
Mhm.
how you will be treated.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Drame.
Thank you very much, Ampa. I'm so grateful. My regards to everybody.
Thank you, and you too.